Happy Friday, Miami. This is Buy, Sell, Hold Miami, a real estate podcast. I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. Joined here by my partner, my co-host, the moderator, Daniel Hernandez from Compass Real Estate over in Coconut Grove. How's it going, Daniel? You ready for the World Cup?
USA's playing tonight, right? Who are they playing? Somebody cool like Bosnia or I don't know. I don't follow this. Who are they playing?
Paraguay.
Paraguay. That's like Uruguay, but with a P, right?
Yeah, but a little bit more. You can get a lot more Canal Street type of product there, if you will. A lot of knockoffs from Paraguay.
Oh, is that true? I thought you got the real pro knockoffs. From what I understand, they all come from Turkey. Like they got
but I think the South American version is Paraguay.
No kidding. Well, maybe I'll tune into it tonight. What time's the match?
9 o'clock. 9
o'clock
start. If people don't know where to go, Fritz and Franz, our German friend, says he's leaving Coral Gables, and
He's
this
out.
is his last rodeo. He's sick of Mar-a-Lago, of Coral Gables getting up his ass and running obstacles, and this guy's failing after the World Cup. So they don't have any kind of admission to get in. It's free. Come on out, and he's not worried about police security. City of Coral Gables can take care of that.
Huh. Well, you heard it here first. And if you're just joining us for the first time today, this is Buy, Sell, Hold Miami, episode number 56. We're well into the summer season. And if you look in the bottom left of your screen there, if you're looking on mobile, it's right there in the middle. That's the rundown. And that's a list of topics that Peter and I choose week after week, and we talk about them. So we got you here for an hour. That means we got every topic for about 7 to 10 minutes. And at the end of each topic, we're either going to buy because we agree, we sell because we disagree, or we hold because we don't know. And man, it's just fun to watch. So I want to jump right into it with you, Peter. Superman SOFR. So if you guys have been following Buy, Sell, Hold or just the general market for a little bit, you might have heard us talking about the Mercedes-Benz condo building. And if you're a buyer there, you might be following this even more closely because I don't think a crane has moved on that in months, Peter.
Yeah, City of Miami Fire Department. I'm sure they're well aware of it too, because remember, their fire department came down.
Firehouse number 4. Right, they're working out of a trailer right now.
Nothing better than being in the trailer in the summer with the humidity and the heat.
Oh my God.
And the hurricane warnings.
So if I understand correctly, it was something like it's a multi-million-dollar firehouse he owed, and then another $5 million development contribution. So that's a whole other lawsuit that the city of Miami has filed against JDS. So JDS is Michael Stern's development company, and somebody picked up his paper and foreclosed on about an $80 million loan, another $20 million in interest. But there's a building to be built. It's 700 and something units over there in West Brickell, not to be confused with the actual Brickell, but we're west of the Metro Rail, approaching Little Havana, but just call it West Brickell. Is it the right site for Mercedes-Benz? Is it the right site for a Hyundai building? That is only for you to decide. But the fact is that it's not being built at the moment. Nobody's moving. So we've been speculating. A lot of people have been speculating on how is this project going to move forward. And the real deal reported on a rumor, unsubstantiated, but there's a rumor swirling, Pete, that Mr. Jeffrey SOFR might step in and help a brother out.
Jeffrey SOFR, the SOFR family. They're the ones that created Aventura. They own Aventura Mall. They own the Fontainebleau. Jackie SOFR, Jeffrey's sister. She's married to Craig Robbins. They're the ones who did the design district. Craig Robbins gets all the credit. Jackie SOFR's the backstop behind it all. You know what else about Jeffrey SOFR? A couple interesting tidbits if anybody doesn't know. He's a developer. He's put up a bunch of different stuff over in Sunny Hills Beach as well as Aventura. Like I said, all of Aventura is pretty much done by his family. Jeffrey SOFR also had claim to fame because he was married to no one else but supermodel Allie McPherson. Till it went sideways. And then finally, one of the best, only in Miami stories you'll ever hear is about a gentleman out of Colombia who was posing as if he was a member of the Saud family, which controls Saudi Arabia. This gentleman is being wined and dined. Jeffrey met him for lunch in in Aventura or Bell Harbor. I don't remember what it was. You can all look it up in Vanity Fair. And at the event, he started to get a little suspicious because this member of the Saud family, as the hustle was going, he ordered prosciutto, which is pork, and Muslims don't eat pork. Called the
That was
FBI,
the
led the
tell?
whole takedown. Yes, took the
That's
whole
like
guy
leaving
down.
that's like leaving the peanut butter sandwich with your fingerprints on it at the heist. I think that happened. I forget. I think that either happened in London or in Belgium. These guys got away scot-free, and the guy left his half-eaten heist lunch at the scene of the crime. So the guy ordered prosciutto.
He ordered prosciutto. Yeah. If you, by the way, if you pull up, that's not what our topic is, but if you pull up Vanity Fair, Jeffrey Sofer, and the Saud Sheikh, and the hustle, you'll see the whole story. It is a great. I don't know how they haven't made a movie out of it. This guy was hustling everybody in and around Miami area, and Sofer outed him. Jeffrey Sofer's been around for a while. He's a great developer. He designs buildings, or he has his architects, a guy called Robert Swedroe. He's got them designing from the inside out. So if you ever go into a Sofer building, you're going to find that it's very usable. The outside might not necessarily wow you, but the inside you're going to absolutely love. So credible developer, and also too takes advantage of opportunities. And I guarantee Jeffrey Sofer is not going to go in there and get ripped off on this deal. If in fact he's the one buying the paper, or going to bail out Mr. Stern, according to the Real Deal, as well as the South Florida Business Journal, who first filed that story about the foreclosure.
So Pete, I was pulling back the deal economics of this, and so this was city land. This is, why he owes them this fire station. So the land basis, or at least part of it, is $23 million purchase city-owned land that they took down back pre-COVID in February 22. And reportedly, this is a $2 billion sellout. Now, they only have 20-something% of the units sold, so call it 400 million and change. But if you can build it, I guess what I'm asking you, Pete, is if you build it, will they come? Will they come to West Brickell? You think anybody's...
I mean, listen, what are your amenities in West Brickell? One, you got a park located in
a really nice new fire station.
Yeah, well, if anybody doesn't know the site, so you got Coral Way, which is going to be effectively to the south. To the north, you're going to have Coyote or 8th Street. How do you know where you are? You'll see a Wendy's. You'll see an Ace Hardware. There's some affordable housing that the Related Group is putting up. On the other side, there's a gas station. You'll have a Walgreens as well as a Publix supermarket. This is a inferior location. It's probably a C- location. Can you populate it? Yeah, but what are you populating with? Primarily rentals. Walk around, drive around that area. These are all rental buildings in and around there. I think Domus is putting up one. There's a project called Brickell 10, which is off of 10th Street. But basically, this is the low rent district of Brickell Avenue area. And, it's good for what it is, but Mercedes-Benz brand, I'm not necessarily sure if that makes sense. But however, if Jeffrey Sofer is able to get in and take a piece at a decent price, he's probably going to do okay. I don't know about the original developer, though, Mr. Stern. I think he was a little bit over his skis. Now, if he would have taken the Mercedes-Benz project and done it on his other site, Michael Stern's other site, which is a Dolce & Gabbana right there on Brickell Avenue, you probably got a better chance. But, if I were a betting man, I would take the under on how successful this project's going to be.
So what else is Stern have in town? He's got the Dolce & Gabbana project, which I haven't heard a peep out of. He's probably just busy with this Mercedes-Benz, which, by the way, one Sotheby's sued a JDS affiliate for allegedly unpaid commissions and expenses to the tune of something like $500,000. So I'm a broker. You're a broker. A lot of product out there, a lot of pre-construction product. You shuttling anybody in the direction of Mercedes-Benz right now?
I don't know why anybody would even take a shot at it. Anytime there's litigation involved, you don't want to think worst case scenario where your deposit could end up and what you have to do to kind of get that money back. Now, I think that project's probably dead in the water simply because we're talking about it. Unlike what you hear in the White House when you want a lot of publicity, and all publicity is good publicity, for a developer, this is not good publicity, talking about who owns the note, is there a foreclosure, blah, 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 blah. And, if you're a would-be buyer,
in terms of it, if you're a would-be buyer, do you just come in and say, okay, you want $800 for this? I'll give you $350.
You potentially could, but the problem is, can the developer get it over the finish line? Because when you're buying pre-construction, you're purchasing a futures contract. And you are betting by the time the product comes online, the valuation is going to be much more than what you're paying today. And that is your incentive to get in. A lot of the people who probably put down their deposits, they got some heartburn right now, is what I would sort of say, just given market conditions as well as everything that's going on. You do not want to see your project in the headlines unless it's some developer out there blowing smoke about how 1,000 people a day are moving to Florida and we're the gateway to Latin America. When you hear this type of discussion, it's never going to be good. It's never going to be good.
Would you rather be holding a reservation here at the Addition?
Probably the Addition, because the Addition's deeper into it, and you probably got a better chance of getting your cash back sooner rather than later. Assuming
the Addition, the Biscayne 21 is still standing. At least they got a hole in the ground over here.
Yeah, they do have a hole in the ground. Boy, that is a tough call. Listen, if I was a owner, if I had put down pre-construction deposit, I would probably look at some sort of way to exercise my right to go to the courtroom and kind of figure out a way, because what developers don't want in a situation like this, they don't want the momentum to build. So maybe somebody will suggest that they're going to sue for some reason, and the developer doesn't want to get out, so they give him some cash to go away, make him sign an NDA, and none of us know any better. So, if I was one of those buyers, I would definitely be evaluating what my different options are, because going forward, you're basically just, this is a standoff. I don't see how this thing is going to blow out. And then if you do have a Jeffrey Silver step up and actually backstop it, that's probably a good sign. But still, you got to construct it. One thing to remember, everybody, when times get tough, developers make adjustments. The best story I ever heard, there's a project over across from Bayside Marketplace over in downtown Miami, Biscayne Boulevard, between 2nd and 3rd. That project was supposed to be floor-to-ceiling windows. You walk in that building today, it's called Biscayne. It's sold in bulk. It was out of the bankruptcy court. You walk in that building today, you will have a waterfront location view. You don't see the view till you go on the balconies. Why? They had to change. They had to go from floor-to-ceiling windows to effectively apartment-style windows you would find in Kendallandia out in West Miami-Dade County. So keep in mind, when you got financial issues, they're going to adjust because they need to hit a certain profit margin if, in fact, they can be profitable. And what does that mean? That typically means you got to dumb down or you got to reduce the construction cost. So maybe it was supposed to be glass. Maybe you got half glass, half cement. So stuff changes. But when you buy pre-construction, you're buying a futures contract and you're betting that the price in the future is worth more than it is today. And on that side, I would be a sell, sell, sell.
So let me ask you something, Peter. You've been around the block a few times. What is Sofer getting out of Stern that makes this so attractive to him, or potentially attractive to him? Is he just gutting his equity?
Good question. Purely speculation, in my opinion. But what I would imagine, if I were going to collateralize this, I would probably want some other stuff too to backstop it. I'm thinking maybe if you had a site on Brickell Avenue, that might be a pretty good tandem, if you will, in terms of collateralizing how much money you're going to be owed.
I think they did demolition at the 888 site, right? Dolce where Dolce & Gabbana's going.
Good question. I don't recall. Last time I was sort of walking around, there was one of my tours, and that was back in April. So I don't know if something has changed since then.
Superman Sofer, you think he's going to swoop in and save the day?
Yeah, I always say you bet the horse, you bet the number, you bet the jockey. I'm going to bet the jockey. So if Sofer's in, I am pound the table behind Jeffrey Sofer, because he's been around, he's seen it all, and he doesn't talk a lot. He's not out there doing podcasts, so he's in really good shape. Unlike some of our other developers,
he could come on and do a podcast.
To us.
I think it's because we're a live show, Pete.
Could be.
Raskin came on.
Jeffrey Sofer, come on out. Come on, let's get on the show. I've met you. I know you. Come on the show. We're nice. But he's actually a pretty smart guy, Jeffrey Sofer. He's kind of low key, but he's a really smart guy. And I'm not blowing smoke because I want him on the show. Just honest take on it.
All right, you're a buy. I don't know him. I don't know if there's any substance to this. I'm gonna hold. But if he goes in, hey, that would be great if you're a Mercedes-Benz buyer, because then you got somebody who's actually going to put something up and not just push dirt around. And City of Miami will get their fire station, maybe by 2032.
At some point.
All in on Allapattah. So for those of you who don't know where Allapattah is, I'm going to pull it up for the gang. But Allapattah is a little community just, southwest of Wynwood? So it's on the other side of the train tracks. And when I say the train tracks, I don't mean the actual train tracks. I mean our train tracks, which was I-95. So it's just right up in here. in this little elbow, right? So you got the Wynwood Walls, you see that marker there. And then if you go south and you go a little bit west, that is Allapattah, right? You got the hospital, Jackson Memorial, the Health District. And historically, this is where they would pack fruit. It was a fruit and pork and it was a warehousing district. It was a transit center because if I remember correctly, this was in and around where the Flagler Florida East Coast Railroad terminus was, right?
It was Seaboard Air Express, which was basically, if anybody doesn't know, Henry Flagler's FEC lines, which are basically what Biscayne Boulevard runs off of. That was the bougie rail line. Then they brought in a
bougie rail line.
Yeah, I'm not going to say Spirit Airlines, but they brought in a cheap competitor out of Virginia that was targeting more the working class stiffs, if you will, and also hitting the agriculture people. So they brought in the tracks there, and that's where the station used to drop off, right by where the Miami baseball stadium used to be located before they unfortunately tore that thing down, right there off Northwest 7th. So yeah, Allapattah was working class. When you got on the other side, 95 near Wynwood, you got more into the bougie, old man Flagler stuff.
So I wanted to bring it up today because our old friend Lisette Calderon is back at it. For those of you who don't know who she is, is she like the Tony Goldman of Allapattah?
Lisette's kind of interesting because the first project she did here on her own was Neil Lofts, if anybody knows that. That's between Flagler and First, right on the west side of the Miami River. She then followed suit and she did the Wind. She was going to do 2 other towers, but then unfortunately the market went hits up, as they say in Tampa, sold off some of the properties, and ultimately it ran into some problems. Now Mr. Faina, who's making his comeback, he's trying to put up a project on that site, but the Calderons and the Guerras, they control the east side of that parcel. Yep, there you go. So right fronting the river, that's where Faina's going to do it. That at some point was Lisette Calderon's. After that, I think she went up to New York, was working on Wall Street. She had a little stint, I want to say at the Related Group, and now she's off on her own. She's carving out a space out in that Allapattah area, which is basically in her own backyard. I think it's an area with a lot of potential. She's got the track record. She's built some stuff before, and she seems to have learned everything from the great, leading up to the Great Recession. So, she's got the track record, and if she's getting involved with it, she's a local woman who understands the market. She's played with a bunch of other big people, and more importantly, has actually put shovels in the ground and been able to deliver them. Well, not always financially, but some of that has to do with market conditions.
Well, speaking of the rules of Peter Zalewski, she has put up not 1, not 2, but 3 completed apartment towers in Allapattah. She's put up 752 units. And then this latest play is part of a supposed 3-phase play to put up at least that many again. And this latest trade over here, and I pulled it up for the gang, 1000 Northeast 23rd Street, she took down from the Rubels. Peter, you're old enough. Did you used to party at Studio 54?
Man, I wasn't even born at that point. I wasn't born until the 90s.
So for those of you who don't know who the Rubels are, the Rubels have been integral to the Miami real estate for many, many years, but a lot of that has to do with Mr. Rubel's brother, who was partnered with Ian Schrager in Studio 54. No bullshit. So the big nightclub that kind of carved out the night scene, the nightlife scene in New York many, many decades ago, he tragically passed away in the late 80s and left his estate to his brother. And with that, they bought a bunch of art. They became patrons of the arts. And so if you've never been, I encourage any of our listeners, any of our watchers to go over to the Rubel Collection, which is right there in Allapattah. But this particular site was a pork processing plant that they took down, and they paid, what did they pay for it, Peter? They paid, what's the deal economics on this one? $5.35 million in 2021, and they sold it to Lisette for $15 million. That's not a bad return on your money in a few years. So she wants to put up hundreds of multifamily units. She sees this sort of as the future. I guess, now that I'm saying it out loud, I think you're going to either be an Allapattah believer or you're going to be a Little River believer, because there's so much workforce development going on in Little River. You got Swerdlow and then the Spanish guy with Hugh Hub, and that's one